Peoples. Meeting of the Ascension Parish Planning and Development, Planning Commission is called to order. It's May 8th, 2024, 6 o'clock p.m. Ascension Parish Courthouse, 607 East Worthy Road, Gonzales, Louisiana, 70737, and we are in the council chambers. We were worried about you. Yeah. Let's have a roll call of members, please.
Michelle Unitas. Mark Villar. Here. Nicholas Miller. Here. Max Nassar.
Here.
Wade Scheckschneider.
Here.
Randy Kluot.
Here.
Julio Dumas.
Thank you. Next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Unitas, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is the introduction of staff. Please.
Stacy Webb, Secretary for the Planning Commission.
Jarius Carey, Information Technology.
Spencer Long, Parish Attorney.
Eric Poche, Director of Planning and Development.
Okay, thank you. Chairman's comments. I don't have many comments tonight. I've been instructed by the commission to keep my mouth shut. So the next item is public. Oh, I do have something. I'm sorry. If anyone wishes to speak during a public hearing on any of these items, please sign a card, and it'll ask you for some information, and then during that period, Ms. Webb will call you up. Next item is public comment on any agenda item. Stacy? If you'd like to speak now, you can come on up to the mic and, okay. Okay, well, you go see Stacy, please, and get a card filled out. Thank you. She'll guide you through whatever process we need to do. Next item on the agenda is the staff report. Mr. Poche?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You'll see in front of you the normal subdivision monthly report. It has not changed from last month. I just wanted to remind you that Ascension Commerce Center 2, Phase 2 will be on the agenda for next month's meeting, preliminary plat. If there's anything and anyone has any questions about it, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I wanted, before you do Mr. Chairman, the ERA, Mr. Sean Sherrill's daughter's graduating from Dutchtown High School tonight, and he's not going to be here. Mr. Stoker Brown is the drainage engineer for CSRS, and he is going to be doing the presentation. He's running a few minutes late. I have a couple of announcements. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He's sitting right there. Never mind. Forget I said that. I had a couple of announcements as well. We will, or scheduling planning commissioner training, and I believe it's on Saturday, July 12th from 8 to noon. I'll be sending out some information as I get it. There's a flyer that's going to be made, and folks will be able to sign up the Capital Region Planning Commission. So I will give you a little bit more information on that. I also wanted to let you know that administration and staff has been working on a solar ordinance for solar farms in the parish, and I have copies that I'm going to give you after the meeting for any review or comment. The administration wants to try to get this on the books as soon as possible. They want to hear it at the meeting next month for recommendation to the parish council, which is why I sent it to you. I sent it to you in an email, and I've got copies for you. So please, if there are any questions, comments, or anything, get them back to us as quickly as you can, and so we can make any necessary changes. And I think that's it.
Now, I want to ask you, Eric, about the planning commissioner training. There is, as I understand it, there's a state law that the commissioners have to take training.
Yes, new commissioners have to have training within 1 year of them being appointed.
That was for your benefit.
Do we have a continued education with that? Do we have to?
No, it's just a one time.
Just one time. But you can take it as many times as you
Yeah,
like.
you can take it as many times as you want. And it will be at the conference rooms in the administration building as normal.
Okay, thank you.
Just to
And I'm not even gonna ask you to go any further with that comment. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is the ERA presentation, off-site drainage assessment, Mr. Brown. And before we start that presentation, I just want to ask Mr. Dumas for comment.
Yeah, there's been a lot of comments of what's going to happen today, and we're not going to delve into the proposed ordinances. They're still working on that, but they're just going to give us an overview of what's proposed. In very simple, very simplistic, the idea here is just to make the parish drainage model available to the engineers ahead of time before they start designing a subdivision, so as to minimize, their constant coming back and forth, no, that doesn't work, and let them work through the problem and then submit something that they believe will work and meets the models so that they can then evaluate it and be more efficient and more effective. It's a tool. Lots of other parts of the country do this. Lots of other parts of Louisiana are currently doing this, and it's proving to be very, very fruitful. I had the opportunity to meet with staff and hear it firsthand, so I just want to take a moment to ask you to focus on what the proposal is, and the ordinances will let them run until next month when we need to really get into them. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd like to encourage all the commissioners, as Julio just did, to take some time between this presentation and our next commission meeting to ask whatever questions you may have. I know that Mr. Poche had invited some engineers to come to this meeting. Are there anyone here that's representing an engineering firm? Okay. I'm curious. I'm not going to ask you now, but at some point I'd like to have, the names of all the firms that might be represented here, so I know who I can contact should I have the desire to have conversations with you. Mr. Brown?
Thank you. Good evening. I'm going to give a presentation. We've been talking with staff, and as Mr. Dumas said, we met with him as well, about integrating the parish floodplain management plan models with the development review process. So I'm going to talk about how there have been two parallel paths up until now. So path one was slowly updating the drainage ordinances, and some of those key updates happened in 2019 following a massive rain event, hired consultants to make major edits in the fall of 22, as well as some minor tweaks to the ordinance since fall of 2022. At the same time, the parish hired HNTB in 2017 to prepare the floodplain management plan, which a part of that was to develop these floodplain models. That floodplain management plan has now since been completed in June of 2023. So what are the parish floodplain management plan models? They were developed for the floodplain management plan, as I mentioned, to help understand flood risk across the east bank of the Mississippi River. Using standard Army Corps of Engineers software, HEC-RAS, full two-dimensional models. Their current uses are to support grant funding applications through the ADAPT program and the Parish Drainage Project Assistance Program through DPW. Here is an overview of what these models, the layout of these different models. There are 4 individual models across the east bank of the Mississippi River. Bayou Conway Panama Canal Basin here in the blue, Marvin Bro Basin in the pink, Henderson Bayou Pierre Basin in the yellow, and the Bayou Manchac Basin in the pink. I guess maybe that's pink, and this is, we'll call it magenta. To give you an idea of some of the results from what these models produce, here is an example of flood depth throughout the Marvin Bro Basin. The darker the blue, the deeper the water. These are peak flood depths in the 100-year storm event. To dig in a little bit further, here we can go to different locations and see the flow paths of the water. So this is very informative, understanding where water is flowing at different times. In a very shallow sloping terrain, especially in Ascension Parish, I'm sure we all know it rains a little bit, water might flow one way. It rains a lot, it might flow in a different way. These models are able to inform us of those different directions of flow. As Eric said, as Ms. Dumas said, other communities are currently using similar models in their development review processes. In East Baton Rouge Parish, they revised the ordinance to require the use of these models to assess flooding impacts due to new development in what they call the Off-Site Drainage Assessment, or ODA. A copy of those models are available to download from their development department website. And the parish allows the developers to submit an ODA. However, the city parish confirms these results independently. Currently, there is no additional fee in East Baton Rouge Parish for this system, for the off-site drainage assessment. In the city of Central, very similar ordinance requiring the off-site drainage assessment to show no impacts due to new development. And a copy of those models are available upon request and execution of a model release form. The city manages the ODA and will perform the official analysis to ensure that the development does not increase flood risk throughout the watershed. And the city of Central currently has an implementation fee structure for the off-site drainage assessment program that is assessed to the applicant. I'll give you a real-world example, and Mickey's gonna like this one. So this is an example in the city of Central. So here, the proposed development is outlined in the black dashed area. On the screen here, I'm showing the existing terrain. This is LiDAR elevations. The higher elevations are in white and gray, sloping down to red, orange, yellow, green, and the lowest is the blue. What we do is we take the information from the developer and we put that into the model. So we essentially build what they are proposing into the terrain. We run the model for the various storm events. Here we're showing the 100-year depths and flow paths, similar to the example I showed you before. The deeper the water, the darker the blue, and we see the different flow paths of the water across the site. We then take that proposed development and run the different storm events through the modeling again. We take the peak water surface elevations from the existing model and the proposed model and look at the difference between the two. We'll then have an assessment of where the proposed development has increased water surface elevations and flood risk and where it may have decreased. So on the screen here, we see that the initial submittal was increasing flood risk on the east side of this development and, on the west side and decreasing it on the east side as it was not allowing enough water flow across the site. Understanding this, we met with the developer's engineers, presented them the information, provided them some feedback from the model so that they can understand the flow paths. Okay. They went back, provided a revision. Here's the results of the initial revision, allowing too much water through the site. Upon the third revision, very close. However, the applicant eventually pulled this permit from being developed. Now, while this one did not go through success in the city of Central and East Baton Rouge Parish, there have been several successful developments that have gone through this process. One thing I'd like to point out is that this analysis, as you've seen, can work back and forth to create a development that is not going to create increased flood risk for the neighboring properties, as opposed to just taking an initial development and saying it's not going to work. So, key points of the proposed ordinance revisions. This is to enhance the existing conveyance check requirements. So I want you to understand, as a part of those initial ordinance updates that I talked about in parallel with the floodplain management plan, that eventually required that conveyance check using a backwater heckgrass model, this is just providing an updated, more advanced tool to perform that analysis. The ODA will not replace or change the drainage requirements regarding internal drainage, the individual drainage study, the detention design, or the design storms. The ordinance will be clear that an ODA must show no adverse impact as currently defined in the drainage ordinance. So what types of development will be requiring the offsite drainage assessment? Proposed subdivisions, minor and major, during the preliminary plat process, commercial during the development permit process, and single-family development is optional if requested by the owner. This will aid in building placement within the property boundaries. So the analysis for a single family will help identify the best location to place that single-family home for two purposes. Number one, making sure it's outside of where it might have increased flood risk itself, as well as placing a single-family home in the wrong location on a property, potentially near a stream, could have adverse impacts off-site. The parish will control the floodplain management plan models and will do the official analysis. However, a copy of that model can be provided to the developer to assist in their design. The developer or the property owner will pay for the ODA analysis. Those proposed fees are as follows. For large-scale subdivisions, for large-scale sections, so these are subdivisions greater than 9 lots, townhome subdivisions, condominiums, and PUDs. Step 1 is an ODA screening. So initially, when they submit it, staff is just going to check, look at the models, and identify whether or not they feel an ODA process the full ODA is going to be required. If required, it's going to be a $15,000 fee. For commercial permits, commercial less than 2 acres, the step 1 for both of the commercial permits will still be $500. Less than 2 acres will be a $5,000 fee, and greater than or equal to 2 acres will be $10,000. The single family, as optional, will require no fee. To understand the timing of the ODA during the Planning Commission approval process, you can see here on the screen, we've got the standard current process on the top in green, and then we have where that ODA is going to fit in underneath it, not affecting the current schedule. And then here's how it fits in with the building permit approval process. Proposed timeline to present this to the Planning Commission, East Ascension Drainage District, and eventually to council. I'm here tonight presenting this to you for discussion purposes. On June 12th, we'll present the proposed ordinance changes to the Planning Commission for a recommendation. On the 20th, an introduction to the council. On July 9th, a presentation present the proposed ordinance changes to the East Ascension Drainage for recommendation to the Parish Council. And then on July 18th, Parish Council public hearing and vote on the ordinances. That is the proposed timeline. At this point, I'll take any questions.
Okay, I'll go ahead, Julio, and then I'll go next.
Go back to table 1 real quick. What about the fee in townhouse subdivisions, condominiums, and PUDs? I know that at the meeting, the recommendation from Mr. Compton wants to take PUDs out because there's only one PUD here, and that's Pelican Point.
So those are blank because they fall under that first column, essentially, or that
Okay.
first row.
So
So
it'd be the same fee?
same fee, yes, sir.
Okay. I would put, to the little confusion, put the little dashes. Or combine them, just they all fall into that category. Yeah, I know,
I'll make sure, I'll be sure to make
clear,
it
yeah.
clear
That's
in following presentations. Yes, sir.
Okay, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
You know, I'm probably more concerned about process than I am about the model, actually. You know, I'm familiar with the modeling tools, and I know that this is an excellent one. Will the adoption of these ordinance changes, I'm sure they will, but I want some confirmation or opinion from you. Are they going to impact Ascension Parish's ratings, for instance, with the community rating system for FEMA or the National Flood Insurance Program to help to lower insurance rates in the parish?
So I cannot confirm that it will lower them. However, these will be providing above and beyond standards than the current FEMA ones. So I would highly encourage the parish to apply for additional credit to lower flood insurance rates.
Okay. I'm not going to get too, I promised them I wouldn't ask too many questions. I'm not going to get too deep into the process, but I'll probably have to speak to the administration more than I'll have to speak to you about this. But I do have a question about the basins. So you show we have 4 basins, right?
Yes, sir.
4 models.
4 individual models.
Are they integrated into a single model, or do they function independently?
The parish has a regional model that include all of these areas. Right now, there are a couple locations of interaction between the basins that are included in these models as external boundary conditions. So at the moment, they are independent and not assessing their impact on other watersheds. However, there is minimal. At any point where in the review process, we feel that there would be an impact to the neighboring basin, knowing where those interactions are, steps can be taken to understand how it would impact the other one.
Yeah, that's something I didn't want to be missed.
Correct.
Because water's always going to go somewhere. It doesn't really know the boundaries that we know, correct?
That's correct.
So, okay. Any other questions?
I think we'll get a little
Ms.
more
Unitas?
in-depth.
Oh, okay. Any other questions? Nick?
I assume we're getting a little more in-depth at this next, was it the June meeting? To kind of
At the
understand.
June meeting, I sent you some recommended ordinance changes. We can have discussions individually about that over the next month until the next meeting. But the ordinance changes are basically definitions, and they're gonna be used to incorporate this process into our ordinance. They're fairly simple and straightforward. But certainly we will get into more depth discussion or whatever at the meeting next month, yes.
Okay, so for the overall model, we're going to have either a parish department or employee or a consultant that is going to continue to update the parish-wide model, all of these basin models through the course of anything that happens along the way, correct?
That is correct, yes, sir.
Because I want to make sure everyone
They-
knows
they-
these
they
models
will
have
be
to
what-
be updated like all the time.
What we'll call living models. So as something gets constructed, and the point at which the proposed development turns over into the existing model is still to be determined, but at some point, it will turn over to what is existing. So any new development that comes through will include existing development up until, again, a certain point in time. But they will be living models so that it's not 5 years from now, we'll go
Right.
back and include everything that's happened since then.
So there'll be a, I'm going to say a firm, it may be a parish employee, I don't know what the structure's going to be, but there will be someone that oversees and maintains the model, basically daily, weekly, monthly, living, as you said. And then whenever a developer comes in and wants to move forward with the development, they're going to have their own modelers that are going to provide the model for that development, which will then be turned over to the master modeler to make sure that it plugs in and the model that the developer is presenting is correct.
So the developer's engineer can request the latest effective model for them to use in helping understand how their proposed development will affect the flow paths. They can essentially run their own off-site drainage assessment program. But that will not be the official analysis. They will then, like you said, turn over, essentially they'll submit their permit application, just as they do today with information. They can submit their model with their information. However, a parish employee or a firm will then take their proposed development and officially and independently put it in the model, the effective model themselves, to analyze the proposed development to come up with an independent analysis of its potential impacts.
So, last question, I think. The developers are going to be required to do their own model, or they're not going to be required to do a model?
At this point, I do not believe they are going to be required to do their own model. However, I think it would be beneficial if they did run the model themselves to understand how close they will be in their first submittal.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I do have one. I guess this is for you, Eric. Is the process going to be, and he mentioned it, whether we use in-house or a consulting, as the parish continues to make improvements to our off-site conveyances, are they gonna, if we do use a consultant, and it's not the same one, are they gonna be able to have access to that information to update their models as we proceed with the improvements? Because essentially, these ordinance changes are to improve conveyance systems throughout,
Right.
The four areas that he mentioned.
The way that it is envisioned, to my understanding, is that the parish is gonna maintain a model. It's gonna be a living model, as Stoker stated. And as we get new information, it's gonna be incorporated into the model. When we distribute a portion of the model, there will be an electronic transfer, hold harmless, and what, we're gonna basically give them that information. They're gonna have it, it's gonna be a copy.
Okay.
They're gonna submit their information, and we're gonna incorporate it. So the parish will hold the model, they will incorporate the model. And what we're also going to do is that's gonna be good for one project, because we wanna make sure that anytime somebody gets that information, it's gonna be the latest iteration of the model. So every time somebody submits for a project, they will get whatever the most updated version of that model is.
Is it your, I guess our vision right now that this is done in-house, or will it be through a consulting firm?
There will be portions of it that will be done in-house, but I'm sure there will probably be portions that will have to be contracted out to an engineering firm
Okay,
for analysis.
fantastic. That's all I have.
Thank you, Stover.
Thank you.
Did Mickey got something to say?
Oh, I'm sorry, who?
Mickey, you have something to say?
Oh, well, this
Did he
is,
fill out a call?
this is not a public comment period, sir. This was just a presentation. We're not considering anything tonight. It was just for information. The next commission meeting, we'll be having public hearings, I'm sure, and next item on the agenda is the approval or denial of the minutes of March 13th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting. Motion by Mr. Miller, second by Mr. Scheck-Snyder. Any opposed? Motion passes. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I'm supposed to say who voted how. Oh, the motion, it was unanimous. Okay, don't have to do that. I make sure Stacy, I have to keep Stacy happy. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Does anyone want to remove anything from the consent agenda? No. You have a motion to approve?
No, you gotta read it.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Y'all keep telling me to be quiet, and then you tell me to read things. A, affidavit of mortgage declaration. DK Palm Investments Prairieville LLC, Daniel J. Palm, Lot 58440398, Highway 42, Prairieville, Louisiana. Item B, affidavit of mortgage declaration, Satoon Properties LLC, Tract SR1 and SR2, 6333 Airport Industrial Boulevard, Gonzales, Louisiana. Item C, affidavit of mortgage declaration, Timothy and Katie Bocking, Lot 6A, 14216 Harry Savoy Road, Santamon, Louisiana. Now do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Kluat, second by Mr. Dumas. Cast your votes, please. Yeah, I think we're gonna use the machine before we get to the next item, so. Item passes unanimous. Item 11 is a public hearing to approve or deny the following family petitions. Before I open the first item to public hearing, note that any speakers will have a 3-minute time limit on their comments via the commission rules. So I just ask you to keep your comments concise and to the point, so I don't have to stop you in the middle of your conversation, which I don't want to do, by the way. First item is item A, Penny Place, Lot 11A1 and 11A2, and dedication of a private servitude of access across Lot 9A, MR Engineering and Surveying. This is a public, this is the public hearing for that item. Anyone wishing to speak? Yep, you can start down that road, but I'm just going to hit the gavel. No, but go ahead, I'm sorry.
Mickey Robertson with MR Engineering and Surveying, 9345 Interline Avenue, Baton Rouge. I'm here tonight representing the Schamberger family. It's just a family partition honoring the wishes of Mr. Schamberger's estate, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. We have addressed all of staff's comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this is a public hearing on Penny Place, lots 11A1, 11A2, and a dedication of a private servitude of access across Lot 9A. This is in Council District 6. Anyone wishing to speak? Stacy, any cards? Public hearing is closed. Commissioners? Motion by Mr. Dumas to approve, second by Mr. Wagasback. Mr. Schexnayder. All those in, let's cast our votes, please. Any discussion on the motion? No? Cast your vote, please. Motion passes, 7 yeas. Next item on the agenda is item B, Peter Delat III, property, tracks PD 1A and PD 1B, Louisiana Land Surveying, Council District 1. Yes, sir. Could you state your name and?
My name is
address?
Curtis Cheney, Louisiana Land Surveying.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
here to represent Mr. Morrow on his proposed family partition. Any questions you have?
Okay, thank you. I'm going to open the public hearing. This is a public hearing on Peter Delat III property, tracks PD 1A and PD 1B, Council District 1. Anyone wishing to speak?
Mr. John?
Yes, sir. Mr. John, if you'd say your name and your address, please.
Hello, committee. My name is John Johnson. My wife and I, Antoinette Bailey Johnson, we own the property in the front of this tract behind us. I want to know what's the plan. What are they planning to do with that tract behind us? What are their intentions?
Well, that we don't really know. Mr. Cheney?
Mr. Morrow is planning on donating the property to his son. And it's not going to be used to be built on. It's going to be used for squirrel hunting and just growing crops.
Okay. I was concerned because I just didn't want a trailer park or something to sneak up behind us, and I just want to make sure. So, okay,
Yes,
as long as it's used for hunting and family stuff, then I'm good. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Anyone else? Public hearing is closed. Do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Kluat.
That's a lot of red on this preliminary plat. I mean,
Wait, hold on, time out. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second by Mr. Unitas. All right, go. Nick,
lot
you
of
go
red on
first.
this
No,
plan.
Julio, you go first.
have all of these been addressed?
Oh, yes, sir, they have all been addressed, yes. Well, you got to remember that this was supposed to be on the agenda for last month's meeting.
Okay. It's just what all right,
So we just pulled the same drawings.
Yeah,
all right.
okay, Mr. Miller?
I was, in the last one, I was just thinking, Can we get, when they have that many comments that need to be addressed, can we get an updated plat to come to us that says, okay, here?
Yes.
Because, I start
yeah.
looking at the plat and I say.
Yeah.
I have
Normally
some of those
that
same
would
problems.
happen. It was just an oversight. I apologize.
Okay.
We do. You made a motion to approve,
It was your motion.
and he seconded it.
No, Randy.
Oh, I'm sorry, Randy made the motion. I take
It's
it
getting a
back.
little long in the tooth, you know, maybe.
Well, I know, I told y'all I wasn't in the mood tonight. I'm sorry.
So
Mr.
much for a
Kluat
quick
made
meeting.
the motion. Your comments are addressed, sir?
No, I said, I was gonna only add to the motion, if the motion maker was willing to accept it, that he add a phrase, provided all comments are addressed.
Mr. Kluat?
Motion to approve that all, in effect, that all comments are addressed?
And Ms. Unitas seconds that motion, okay. Yeah, so now we're gonna go ahead and vote on the substitute motion. All right, motion passes unanimous. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item C. That is Sean Abear property lots A2A and A2B, Earls and Associates LLC, Council District 5. Yes, sir.
Good evening. James Fagwood, Earls and Associates, representing Mr. Abear on the following family partition, asking the commission for approval.
Okay. This is a public hearing on item 11C, Sean Abear property, lots A2A and A2B, Earls and Associates, Council District 5. Do we have anyone wishing to make comment to address the commission? Public hearing is closed. Motion by Mr. Dumas, second by Mr. Scheck Snyder. Is there any commission discussion, questions? Let's cast our votes, please. Okay, motion passes. It's unanimous. Next item on the agenda is Donna Bork property, lots 4A and 4B, Earls and Associates, Council District 8.
Yeah, representing Mr. Todd Zirkle on the following family partition, asking the commission for approval.
Okay, this is a public hearing on the item 11D, Donna Bork property. Hope I'm saying her name properly, Bork. Lots 4A and 4B, Council District 8. Any public comments? Stacy, no cards? No public comment. Public hearing is closed. Commissioners? Motion by Mr. Dumas.
Second.
Second by Mr. Scheck Snyder. I might just record that. Any discussion on the motion? Cast your vote. Motion passes. It's unanimous. Thank you. Oh, you're back. Next item on the agenda is item 11E, Brad Sagona property lots 1E, 1A, 1A, and 1E, 1A, 1B, and lots 1E, 1B, 1A, and 1E, 1B, 1B.
Keep adding letters to it, huh?
Council District 5.
Yeah, representing Mrs. Sagona on the following family partition, all comments were addressed, corrected on the plat, asking the commission for approval.
Okay, this is a public hearing on item 11E, Brad Sagona property lots 1E, 1A, 1A, and 1E, 1A, 1B, and lots 1E, 1B, 1, and 1A, and 1E, 1B, 1B. Any public comment? Commissioners?
Sure.
So this is the fifth subdivision within this family partition.
Mm-hmm.
What's the total number of lots in this whole family partition?
This was actually 2 lots, so we're
Okay,
taking
but-
these 2 lots and turning it
But
into
if you
4.
take the whole area.
The whole area was probably,
When it started with lot 1, it
Uh,
was 1 lot.
it was probably a quarter, so probably 640 acres
So 640 acres.
total. Of where the end of the public road is, from the end of Holton Road where it turns to Crystal, I would say no more than about, 8 lots total.
So was 5 subdivisions only generated 8 lots?
No, on where the end of the public road is, where
No,
this,
I'm
where
talking
the
about
original letter Lot 1 came from, it was probably, 640 acres, where originally it was Lot 1, I would assume.
Okay, so at 2 lots, average an acre, you're looking 310 lots.
No. Although some of that turned into a subdivision.
Oh,
You
okay.
got,
All right.
you got Holton Road, you got Moore Road, all that turned into a subdivision, all that was
I'm
parceled
just
out over the
curious,
years.
I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
we never
Well,
look at.
everything-
We never look at how many lots.
Well, when you take, if you take one lot and you turn it into 2 lots, if you just change the dimensions of it, you gotta add a letter behind it. So it's not
Right.
necessarily change different lots, you might just change the dimensions of the lot,
Correct, yeah.
so.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Dumas, second by Ms. Unitas. Any commission discussion? Okay, cast the votes. Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda is a motion to adjourn from Mr. Sheikh Snyder. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Unitas. Meeting's adjourned.